What's up everyone, welcome back. Today is going to be a super fun day because we're working on a tank that, oh my gosh, that's not good. I almost tripped and killed myself, but we're working on a tank that I've long been wanting to work on, and that is this tank right here, the Madagascar lace plant tank. Right now, if you'd remember, we put 2 Madagascar lace plants in this tank, and one of them is doing really well. The other one is not doing well at all, so we're going to have to do something about it. I might take that out, or I might just leave that in for a few more months and see how it does. That's probably what I'm going to do, but we're going to be working on this tank today. Right now, you can see the water is a little bit green. It used to be much greener a couple weeks ago, and you can see it's so much better now. And I haven't even done anything. I haven't done a single water change. I've been taking water out of this tank and giving it to my little baby fish, and the water just somehow is clearing up on its own, which is a good thing. But right now, you can see there are a few fish swimming in here. These are baby guppies, and they were born in this tank. I put a female in this tank a couple weeks ago, well, right when I set this tank up, and she gave birth to a bunch of babies. I moved most of them out, and these are some of the ones that I wasn't able to catch out. So I'm going to be moving those guys today, and we're going to be adding some new fish into this tank, and you might be a little bit disappointed at what I'm going to be putting in here, but I promise you, once those fish get big, they're going to look incredible. So one of the first things I want to do today is I want to plant this tank a little bit more. I've got a few more crypts that I can plant in here. There's a lot of space that I can put more plants, like in the foreground area over here. Some of the 𝗧𝗦𝗂𝗧 melted, well, most of it melted, and yeah, 𝗧𝗦𝗧 is kind of a sensitive plant, so nothing really much I can do about that. But I want to put some more plants here as well. That Java fern wasn't there before, but one of my friends, one of my neighbors actually gave me this, and I just put it in here for the time being, but in the future I'm probably going to move it out. But you can see it does look kind of nice in there, so yeah, first thing, let's put some more plants. Oh, but first there's one thing I want to talk about. I forgot to mention, but I did do a little bit of modifications to the CO2 system running on this tank, because a couple weeks ago, the CO2 wasn't running really well. I think there might have been a leak in the tank, or not the tank, but like a leak somewhere. I'm losing a lot of CO2, so I had to change things up, and right now it's looking a lot better. But let me bring you back to the past when I kind of did a few changes, and yeah, show you guys a bit of what I did. Alright, so today we're working on the CO2 for this tank right here. It probably looks a little bit different in the present day. Right now I'm in the past. I might also look a little bit different. I'm not sure, but so you can see it's a green water tank at the moment. It probably still is a green water tank at the time of the actual video, but today we're working on the CO2 here. Right now I've got the CO2 cylinder, and it's hooked onto this tiny little regulator, and it's injecting CO2 only into this tank. That regulator works well, but we're going to be giving it an upgrade today. So I really want to be able to put CO2 in this tank, the tank that will sit right there, this tank that will be there, this tank, and the tank that will sit there. So I want CO2 to go into 6 tanks on this rack. We've got our CO2 parts right here, tubing. This is not enough tubing. I still need to get more tubing. And I've got some of my joint connectors and stuff like that. And then we've got this CO2 regulator from F-Zone. So I want to thank F-Zone for sending me some regulators. They're not paying me to promote their products, but I've been using one of them for a while so far on another tank, and it's been working great, so I'm really excited to try this one out. The nice thing about this is you can see there's 2 of these bubble counters, so there's 2 attachments. One is going to go for the top row of tanks, and then the other one is going to be for the bottom row of tanks. So I'll show you guys how that looks in a moment, but for now I'm going to remove this, take this regulator off, and swap it out with this one. Look at that. That is beautiful. And this is the previous one. It's tiny compared to this, so let's get that thing on. So here we are a couple days later. You can see the tank has somehow magically cleared up. I'm not so sure how, but look at this. We've got the CO2 system all kind of hooked up. Let me take a step back again, but I've kind of got it all set up for the top area, but for the bottom area I haven't done it yet because I don't have all the parts needed to finish this entire thing, but I can get that done very, very soon. So right here, we've got the CO2 cylinder here. The bubble counter, which is located right here, goes up through this pressurized tubing. You can see I've neatly kind of put everything in place so it doesn't move around. Then right here is kind of where the fun begins. We've got the first T-joint so that we can add CO2 into this tank. We've got the check valve here, and then I'm not so sure what this is called, the speed controller or something like that, to adjust how much CO2 goes into each individual tank. So that is for this tank. Then, because I've got that T-joint right there, we can bring the CO2 towards the next tank. So then right here we've got another T-joint, and all these angelfish think it's feeding time right now, but this T-joint right here, you can see same exact setup. We've got the check valve right there, and then it goes on and on and on again to the next tank that will be here in the future. Right now I don't have the tank yet, but then we've got it at an elbow right here. So that is where the CO2 ends. I hope that explanation was good enough. I don't know how to explain things well, but I hope you guys were able to see the picture from that. But then we're going to have the same exact setup for the bottom in the future. But for now, this is how far I've gotten. Now, that was kind of tough explaining. Let's go back to the present day. So we're gonna have to see if that CO2 system works as I hope. And yeah, we'll find out later. But now, let's get some plants in. The first plants we're going to add is this one right here, 𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 actually adding these two plants. I think those are the only two plants that I want to add into that tank right now. This one here is 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 So I ended up not planting the 𝗾𝗧𝗏𝗧 because I didn't want that plant in here. But I ended up planting something else. This is 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃, and I actually had some growing in here already, so I just added more of that. And then the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, this green one, which is my favorite plant. When that thing grows bigger, it'll look amazing. And for this area right here, I took out the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 that weren't doing too well, and I want to plant something else here, but I don't know what I want to plant. So if you guys have any suggestions on what I should plant in this area, comment it down below. What I'm looking for is something that's green and something that doesn't get too tall, and of course something that doesn't grow too fast. So let me know what you guys think. But now I'm going to remove some of these guppies, well, all of the guppies that are left in here. I think there are about 5 of them, but I'm going to take them out and put them in another tank. Alright, so the 5 that were in that tank, I moved out and put them in this tank. They're mixed in with a few other of the same guppies, and I apologize, you can't see any of them very well because we don't have lights on there, but I promise I'm gonna get to that very, very soon. But for right now, I'm going to clean this tank up a little bit. I was going to do a water change on this tank, but I decided not to because this slight bit of green water is going to help the fish that we're adding in later. So I'm just going to clean up the glass, the front panel, and then we'll add those fish inside. And there it is. I'm not sure if that even made a difference. It should be a slight bit clearer, but I also added a little bit more water. I don't want to have the water too high. I was actually thinking of lowering the water level for the fish we're adding in. The fish we're adding in are these guys right here. You may have seen them before, but these are, I need to do this carefully, my baby rainbow fish, 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃 rainbow fish. I'm not sure if you can even see them, but I'll definitely try to get some close-up shots for you guys in a moment. But these guys' parents are in this tank right here. There's currently 4 of them. One of them is a little fish that I raised out, I hatched out myself, and he's just grown really fast compared to all, well, the others. He was the only one that made it out of the previous batch, so I had a failed attempt in the past, but this time, I think this round, this batch right now that I'm working on is doing quite well, so yeah, I really want those guys to survive. But I have a trio right here that I started out with, and these guys have been laying a bunch of eggs, so yeah, this one right here is a female, and then I think we've got 2 males. So I was actually planning to put this trio the 3 of them in this tank, but I decided I want this for the babies. Since it's green water, it's gonna help the babies grow out super fast. And the good thing about having these guys in a small tank is that they can focus laying their eggs on this mop. If I have them in with a bunch of plants and I put a mop in there, they're probably going to go choose all the plants, and the mop is going to be kind of empty. It's not going to have as many eggs as I'd hoped, so I'm not sure about that. Maybe I'll try it out in the future. I do want to house these guys in a bigger tank, and I'm planning to upgrade them to a slightly bigger tank in the future. But for now, they're going to stay in here, and the little babies that are over there are coming into this tank. Okay, so here they are. I'm not really going to bother acclimating these fish because this is the tank the water that I always use to water change, so they're probably used to it already. Not much temperature difference as well. Yeah, I'm just gonna go and pour them in. And there they are. I know it doesn't look like much, but there's a bunch of little baby fish in there. There's got to be at least 50 rainbow fish fry, and I know it doesn't look like much. It looks like there's nothing in this tank, and I apologize for that, but just trust me. I promise you guys, in a few months time, once these fish get bigger and they mature and start coloring up, this tank is going to look amazing. The tank is also going to balance out over time. Right now you can see it's green water, but in a couple months time, this tank is going to look clear. And just trust me on this, because this is one of my dream setups right here, to have a planted tank with just one species of rainbow, the 𝗲𝗾𝗬𝗧𝗧 rainbow fish, or the half blue, half orange, whatever you call it. But yeah, these guys, I can't wait for them to get bigger. They're gonna look like this in the future. And this, I don't think, is even like fully matured yet. It's still not full grown. You can see a 𝗲𝗾𝗬𝗀𝗧 can get quite big, and the colors will get even better than this. And this is not the ideal setup for rainbow fish. Really, you'd want them to be in a planted tank. If you keep them planted tank with good light, they're gonna color up really nice for you. I promise you guys, in a few months time, those rainbow fish are going to grow and color up incredibly, and I can't wait for it. This is one of the tanks I'm most excited about in this fish room, and it's gonna be so fun watching those fish grow. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. We've got angelfish breeding once again. Take a look at that pair right there. They are like back at it. Oh man, and they're not happy, or maybe they're hungry. But yeah, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.